Almost all American legends use a V8 as a powerhouse, not the Viper. The Viper was different from the very beginning. It looked different, it sounded different, and it outperformed its competition when it came out. There was nothing in Dodge's lineup to serve as an engine for it, so they had to create something new. To get the most of the perspective, we need to go a few decades back. It was 1964 and Chrysler introduced their new LA engine family. It was a cast iron overhead valve architecture that went on up to 2003. There was a major modernization in 1992 when the outdated LA already needed a fresh update. Basically, the only thing unchanged was the engine block and forged connecting rods. They managed to chop some cylinders off of the new Magnum engine to create a smaller power plant of 3.9 liter. However, there was also a need for a real powerhouse, not only to propel large trucks, but also a upcoming sports car with the double bubble roof. The thing is that they added 2 more cylinders to the 5.9 liter Magnum engine and at the same time longer stroke. These changes resulted in a volume increase up to 8 liter with 10 oddly firing cylinders. As mentioned before, it was an all-iron engine, and as Chrysler owned the Lamborghini at the time, they asked them to modify this truck engine into an athlete. First, the block with iron liners was cast from aluminium, as were the heads. This material change meant that the strengthening ribs and cooling jackets were adapted as well. The intake manifold was also made of aluminium, as were the pistons from a forged aluminium. To gain more rev range, they also used twin valve spring setup. Viper powertrain engineer Dick Winkles mentioned that they over-engineered everything just to make it solid in the first generation. The next one was shaped by 25 to 35 kilograms. That's a significant number as the original had around 317 kilos. Some modifications were made to the cams as well, and some 50 horsepower were found in that 8 liter. The next step was to hit the 500 horsepower mark. Quite naturally, engineers increased stroke and bore to gain additional 0.3 liter. In 2003, the Hemi engine returned, and hemispherical chambers with rework airflow were used here as well. Winkles says that this was one of the most significant mods as airflow science evolved. The Gen 4 experienced a massive 100 horsepower bump. It wasn't done in the old way of bigger cams or simply more volume, although there was 1 deciliter more over the older version. There was a cam-in-cam variable valve timing introduced only on the exhaust side, some twin electronic throttle bodies were used, and further improvement in airflow resulted in CNC machine heads which were responsible for like 60% of the power bump. Besides, pistons were now commonized with the Hemi ones, and therefore cast instead of the forged ones. Interestingly, the final variant of the engine gained back those forged pistons from Marley, although lost like 4 horsepower thanks to that. They managed to get them back with further adjustments like cam lobes, high flow cats, lighter plastic intake with even out runners. All these mods allowed the Viper still to pass emission regulations and boost power to over 650 horsepower. Who once experienced such a large naturally aspirated engine will get an idea how ridiculously powerful the Viper was. There you have it. The Viper V10 originally was loosely based on a truck engine, but Lamborghini gave it a sportiness. The Viper had its own specific character, which was supported by the oddness of the extraordinary V10 howl. Yeah, Viper is a legend of its own.